Hello, welcome back to Spirits of Fashion. My name is Ren, and I thought it would be fun today to talk about thrifting items for different historical periods. In particular, I'm going to be talking about the Victorian period today because I've been presenting a couple of different presentations on that era. The other day, I did steampunk fashion, which, as some of you may know, is based upon Victorian elements along with Industrial Revolution and steam engines and you name it, anything to do with even the books like H.G. Wells and Jules Verne, sci-fi. You can even put Western elements in there, but you can definitely thrift so many items, as I've done in the past, to sort of make yourself look not exactly like the period, or else you'd be raiding the museums, and you're not supposed to do that. So for the true historic, antique fashion and vintage fashion, you can at least get things that resemble those time periods because fashion always repeats itself. So I thought I would do a little bit of steampunk and then a little bit of the same period, roughly, because tomorrow I am doing the fashions from the Dickens period. So think about Charles Dickens with A Christmas Carol and some of his other books like Oliver, Nicholas Nickleby, etc. So I thought I would sort of talk about those two different presentations, but sort of with the same theme, the same fashion period. I will give you an example. Charles Dickens I'm going to cheat and use my phone because his books, I have a timeline to tell you exactly when those books were published. And so it's easy to talk about the time period and what the fashions would have looked like. So going back to that, I'm just going to give you a few examples of his best works. One, of course, is The Pickwick Papers, published in 1837, Oliver Twist, 1838, Nicholas Nickleby, 1839, Christmas Carol, 1843, David Copperfield, 1850, Bleak House, 1853, A Tale of Two Cities, 1859, Great Expectations, 1861. So some of the many books that were part of his entire repertoire, he did start writing in a series rather than in a full book or novel. It came out periodically in a serial fashion. So, but I wanted to give you that range of dates because he lived until 1870 and he was still writing at that time. But a lot of his writings were in the 1830s and 40s and some in the 50s and a few in the 60s. So it's a wide range of possibilities. So without going into too much detail, I will tell you that in the 1830s, the biggest part of dress for women included what we call gigot sleeves, which are very big balloon-like sleeves. For day wear, they were very full. For evening wear, they were just puffy at the top part of the shoulder because it was evening wear. You could show more of chest area, if you will. So that was a little bit more risque looking, but it was just for evening. And then in the 1840s, you start to see a more somber form of dress, and I'll be putting pictures up here for you to be able to see some examples of that. But instead of being all here at the sleeve and at the shoulders, in the 1840s, you're starting to see more of a fan-like effect that comes from the waist and moves out. And it's a much, like I said, a little bit darker and more somber colors, a little heavier fabrics. Women were wearing a lot of petticoats, a lot of layers in order to get the fuller skirt of that particular period and the silhouette that was the standard. By the 1850s, 1857, the cage crinoline came out, which was a wonderful invention that enabled women to have very full skirts, but nothing heavy that they had to carry with them. The cage crinoline, which was a steel hoop with fabric tapes, which are just thin strips of fabric to hold it together, and they were able to walk more easily. It was still very full, but it wasn't heavy for them. And then the 1860s, it's going to be all about, instead of having a full bell-shaped skirt, it's going to be more of a flattened front and the fullness moving towards the back. So longer hemline in the back of the dress or the skirt, and that is setting us up for the bustle period of the 1870s. We're going to stop at 1870 today because that was the death of Charles Dickens. So what I thought I would do is just show you a few pieces that I've thrifted over the years that could certainly fall into this category. And I end up wearing a lot of these things because even if I have a few pieces that are really, I do have a couple of 1860s pieces. I have a real top hat, but the top hat that I do wear on occasion is definitely vintage and not antique. Or it's close to antique now, but it's in good enough shape that I can wear it without worrying about it. But there are other pieces that I have to actually use in place of these older dresses, these older accessories, because I want to preserve them as long as I can. So first example is right on my dress form here. This I actually wore when I did Regency Fashion a couple of weeks ago for a tea at a library in Keene, Vermont. And it was very, very, very cold that day. And so I had on, instead of wearing the dress, I have a reproduction Jane Austen style, Regency style dress with short puffed sleeves and not much else. And I said, there is no way. I'm going to be freezing. I'm dressing as a Regency gentleman. So this is a more of a cutaway coat, or it's double-breasted in this case. It is sort of like you can get away with almost any period without being entirely accurate, but it's definitely giving the feeling of the Victorian period, and it's velvet, and it's just a beautiful coat. Fits me perfectly, thankfully. And what I did, and I'll put some pictures here, is I wore a white man's tuxedo shirt with the little points, and then I had on a vest or a waistcoat. I had on brown faux leather jeans, sort of jeans, but they were faux leather, and so they sort of looked like the pantaloons that the men would wear in the Regency period. And then what looked just like the top boots, which were darker brown with the lighter color tan at the top. And then I had the top hat, and I also made a stock or a cravat out of a silk scarf that I have. And it was just so much fun. I had a lot of, fun with that role. And even though I was talking about a lot of women's fashion too, I was comfortable. The room was very cold, so I was glad I did that. So this is one example. I found this in an antique store somewhere in Massachusetts many years ago, and it's a Tahari. The label says Tahari. I'm just saying, you never know where you're going to find something inspiring that will make you think of a particular period that you might be looking for. The other thing, I'm going to roll my rack over here, but I think I dropped it. No, recently at our thrift store, some of you may know that I volunteer at a thrift store in town in Vermont here, and my husband is the manager. This piece came in, and it's just a little cape I can throw over my shoulders, and it makes it look like it is, stand up so you can see it a little bit better, and it has just such a cool, very lightweight feel. It's like a wool material with these big buttons, and a lot of times when you're looking at the Victorian period, you do see capes like this. And this is, I think I paid $4 for it, $4 or $5. So it was a steal, and it was right there at the thrift shop. So it was very easy for me to find. And this is an actual antique piece. I don't remember where I got it. It's quite a while ago, but this is silk velvet. I wish you could feel it because it's so lush. Oh, it feels so nice. And then the inside is a beautiful off-white lining. Actually, yeah, well, I guess it's off-white. But at the top, the little tie area here, there's even pretty buttons here. They're little silver with little rhinestones in them. So what's great about that is that this is in good enough condition that I could throw this over my shoulders too. But I would more likely wear what I just showed you because I know that it's a newer piece and I don't worry about damaging it. Next up would be, this was actually given to me by a friend. This is a Victorian style blouse, but it's modern. It's black. It's hard to see, I know, when it's all black, but it's got this sort of smocking at the top, a little high collar, and the sleeves are just with this sort of Swiss dot look. And it says it was Loft, Ann Taylor Loft. And I've worn it for a Victorian top with a skirt that could pass for, you know, some period in the Victorian era, and still not be wearing something as old as the Victorians would have worn. Even though I do have a few pieces from the era, I'd rather preserve them and just wear a look-alike. The next thing is a skirt I wear very often when I'm doing Victorian periods. And this is I think I got this at a Salvation Army in Massachusetts. It's a dark brown lace with many tiers and ruffles. So it really looks beautiful with that high neck blouse, or even a like a shorter jacket you could wear it with and make it look like a Victorian bodice. I also have pins that you could put. A lot of the Victorians would use these beautiful brooches, especially cameos, to put at the neckline. So these two I've thrifted. I don't remember where I got this, but it's definitely thrifted. And this is one I got at our thrift store for a couple of dollars. And I love that it's a different color. It's like a really pretty sky blue. So that would really jazz up a blouse with a higher neck, and it would make you look more like a Victorian. Another thing is this necklace. I got this. I often talk about the Pyramid Collection, which is a catalog company. They still make the hard copy catalog, but you can look online. It's the pyramidcollection.com. And this is just a choker, which is really nice for Victorian or even for early 20th century. And I believe I got this on sale when they were having a sale in the catalog. And it's purple and black, so it could be worn for steampunk as well. It could be worn for more goth looks. I love it. I've worn it many times so far. And another necklace that I have, this would work for steampunk or Victorian, is one I thrifted somewhere, who knows where, and it's got black flowers on it, sort of shimmery flowers, and then it's got metal pieces with some rhinestones and some little drops of other, what look like, almost like onyx drops there. This is a lot of fun. It can be worn in a lot of different ways for a lot of different periods, but Victorian would be one of them, or steampunk too. Another thrifted skirt I have, and this is not, I mean, it's not any one particular period. And I got this at the Salvation Army as well. This is just a light brown pleated skirt that's to the ground. So it is a maxi. It's not old. It's might be more 90s, I'd say. It's Cool Collection is the label. Let me show you that. So it's really cool. I got this for a very good price. And you can wear, I've worn this with a Victorian blouse, Victorian Style, which is off-white, which is, I have a couple of those, with the high neck and a lot of lace here in the bodice area, the chest area. And it looks really pretty as a Victorian outfit. And then, of course, I have reproduction Victorian boots, which makes the whole outfit, often with some kind of a belt, which I have a few of those that could really pass for Victorian era. And then you can't talk about the gentleman's style without talking about waistcoats. Waistcoats, you can thrift these so easily. I have several, but I'm just showing you a few I have today. And the waistcoats are great because they're very different color-wise, pattern-wise, depending on, you know, what you're looking for. In the 19th century, we started to see a lot more fun happening for day wear and even some evening wear for men. So these kinds of paisley or kind of multicolored styles becoming much more popular for menswear. And of course, they would have a shirt on and then the vest with some type of tie or cravat, and then trousers and a coat over that, such as this. There are things like frock coats, sack coats, which it was almost like a sports jacket that came out in the 1860s and did develop into the current sports jacket and even into the shorter jacket style tuxedo. So all of that kind of evolved over the years, but these vests have been quite consistent. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter, but let's just have fun with these vests because they make a lot of easy outfits, and they're very inexpensive. And then this is another one I have. I love this because a lot of times you do see the stripes in the menswear, and so I love this one. This one is Liz Claiborne Collections, and you can see that there. I thrifted this somewhere as well. And this is one I just got this past week at the thrift store. I love it. It's like a deep midnight blue damask, and it just says Norton McNaughton Petites, and on the back, as in all waistcoats, it's just a plain fabric, and that's because this wasn't meant to be seen, only the front, because jackets were not removed so easily as they are nowadays for men. They kept on the jacket over the vest and shirt, etc. So it would only be this. So why waste the time, energy, and money when only the front needed to be decorative? I just found this at a thrift store recently. It might have been ours, I'm not positive. It's all trains. So again, for steampunk, with the steam engine and the trains that we talk about, how the Industrial Revolution and travel increased in the 19th century. And this one I got at a consignment store, and I love that this is a houndstooth as well, because that was another popular style. This is a vintage limited with just a zipper instead of buttons, and it is shorter, so that's a lot of fun. And then I have other skirts that I use. I'm not going to show them today, but any kind of a long flowy skirt you could really use as part of your outfit, whether you're looking for a women's wear for a specific period. If you're looking for the 1830s with the big sleeves, you probably won't find anything that's that voluminous, but you could find there's a lot more sleeve detail out there in the thrift stores with bigger, puffier sleeves that you could certainly find. And then finally, a couple more accessories that I have. I have this really cool pin that I bought. I don't remember where. I think it was probably a consignment store, but it's cool because it's got watch, and it's got some Victorian looking elements. So it's a perfect pin for steampunk to use as a brooch, or to use even as a pin on a belt or on your waistcoat. And these earrings I had thrifted too. These are so cool. They have a big old nail, clock, etc. And it's a fan shape. So I wore these when I did steampunk yesterday. And then this is one more necklace I bought at a regular store years ago on sale. I got it on sale, and it's just a Victorian looking necklace with a chandelier on the front. Last but not least, pocket watch. This would be worn, there's usually a watch pocket in a man's waistcoat from that period, and all you have to do is take it out and pop it open, and you've got your little watch. And that's what the men would wear with their waistcoats. They have the little chain. This one actually has a steam train on it, so it's actually perfect for steampunk. So I hope you enjoyed our little trip into Victoria land and steampunk and Dickens, and it's very easy. You can reach out to me if you need some kind of further advice about thrifting for this particular period. It is so much fun, and there's still so much out there to be found. The more you thrift, the more you find. So don't be afraid to go and look, and you can have a specific period in mind so that you're not so overwhelmed by whatever else is in the thrift store. You know, look first at the men's jackets or even women's jackets like I did here, and you'll find some incredible things that you might not have noticed if you weren't looking for a certain period. So have a good time with it, and we'll talk more about another era, another time, and how you can thrift for items that would be very appropriate for that time period as well. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and like and share if you'd like. And visit me at SpiritsOfFashion.com, where you'll find a free newsletter that you can sign up for. And you'll get one of those every month. It'll tell you where my next presentations are going to be and what the topics are. So maybe you could even attend one in person. So I hope everyone is feeling well, healthy, and happy and during this holiday season, and I will see you in the new year. Bye.